Welcome to Enums or Enum Types, as they are known in the official documentation. These are in Java a class, or what you might sometimes refer to as a special data type. You use them when you want to assign variables as constants. So we'll get to see examples about this. For example, let's say when you're working with compass directions, when you're working with days of the week, and so on and so forth. Within the enum, they are represented in all caps because they are constants. And that is how we do it in Java. We represent constants in all caps. So this is the syntax of enums. The modifier, that is public, private, it's all supported modifier access depending on where it is in your code. Then the keyword enum, then the name of enum. So it looks very similar to the class declaration or class definition as we had seen in an earlier class. So you have your modifier, the enum keyword, name of the enum, and within the curly braces, the constants as applicable. So for a more specific example, we have public enum compass with the selections or the variables for the compass. So this is a nice example for the special data type. Let's look at it as a class or how it behaves as a class. So they're very powerful, whereby they could hold not only the constants, but some logic to them. So you can have your fields, you can have your methods within the enums. That's an area about them that makes them act like a class. Now, the only thing that they have different from a class is they cannot extend a class. We'll talk about inheritance, and we'll see how we work with the extend keyword to inherit from a parent class. So with enums, they cannot do that because already from the official documentation, they're extending from enum. So just look at this example because Java doesn't support multiple inheritance. And since it is already inheriting, as you'll see in this official documentation, from the class enum, then it cannot extend any other class. Okay, so let's go look at coding examples, and then we'll come back here before one more example. The first area we saw enums, and I think I mentioned it, was in the person class when we were discussing lambda expressions. So here we go. You can also work with enums to represent sets, male and female. Then we have another example here for days of the week. So this is an enum with days of the week. Please take some time and you look through and get to look through these examples. They're in GitHub, and I have attached the link in the description. We have planets like this. This is the enum with a whole lot of logic. Let's see where the end of the logic is. There you go. So this is an enum that acts as a class. As you're seeing, I had said that you can refer to it as a class or a special data type, depending on how you're using it. But it's both. Although let's say all of those terms are acceptable. So this is an enum planet, and it contains all this inside it. It has methods, it has fields, and so on and so forth. As logic that works with these constants here. So have a look at that. It's part of the GitHub code that I have attached in the description. Then we'll walk us through this one, the card one. And the reason why I'll walk us through the card example, it's because I want us to understand why enums simplify constants for us as compared to going with the long route. So let's start. We have code here that is designed to help us pick a single card from a deck of cards. So in case you're not familiar with cards, I'll work with this image to walk us through it. These are ranks. So we have the S, 2 to 10, J, Q, and K. This is a rank. Then we have the suits with hearts this shape, spades, this shape, clubs, this shape, and diamonds, this shape. So the rank and the suits. Now let's go to the code and see how we can work with the ranks and suits to pick a single deck of cards. We're starting with the long root. Now with the long roots, you'll have your field here, rank and suit. We're making it private and final, so it can only be manipulated from within this class, rank and suit. Then we have the kinds of suits as constants. The way we represent constants in Java is by working with public final static keywords. So we have diamond, clubs, hearts, and spades. Okay, the suits. Let me show us that again. This one. Then we have the ranks. So all this is deuce 3 all the way to 10, then jack, queen, and king. Okay, now we have our constructor here. And within our constructor, we have some logic. And the logic is to assert that the rank that is being used is valid. So I'll go to the method, is valid rank, so I can show us how we are using it in our assert statement. Assert is some sort of test, or you'll see this used mainly when you're testing something or when you want to have a logic that will ensure things are in order as per your code. So we have here is valid rank. It is accepting, it's a method that is taken in a rank value, and it will return true if the following conditions are met, which is if it is between S and king. So if I go back to the S and king, it is supposed to be a number, an integer between 1 and 13. Okay. We have a third suit. Here we go. And if I go to the suit diamonds to spades, it is 1 to 4. Okay. So once you pass in your rank and your suit within the constructor, there's a logic to assert if it's valid, and then it will set the rank and the suit to the integers that were passed in, and then it will go ahead and use them accordingly. So we have another method, rank to string, that is going to change the value that was passed in into a string by its name. And then within the main method, sorry, there's another one, suit to string. Okay. Then within the main method, we're just asserting the values that were passed in and the strings. Okay, so that's the long way of doing it. But now that we know about enums, we can simplify this code. All this asserting, all these constants are unnecessary with enums. You can just work with a simple block of code, very concise, very compact, that will match all the conditions or all the requirements as per the card file here with this. So you have your enum suit, you have your enum rank, and then you go ahead and use them like this. So you create the two fields by the type rank and the type suit. And then you have your constructor here that is setting the rank and the suit values according to what is passed in. And you go ahead and finish off your code. So it is simpler when you work with enums as compared to when you work with cards. You don't need to assert anything because the constants are already there. It's already it's part of what the enums do. You don't have to have all these lines of code, all these other blocks of code, and so on. So you can have a look at that and start to explore scenarios where you would prefer to work with enums over working with long lines of code with a lot of constants. So you'll also get a chance, and I'll include all this in the description, to look at in your individual practice, to look at the deck class and compare it with the deck enum. So have fun with that. You get to see how things get simpler with enums for such examples. See you on the next one.